Oh,
dang it was there.
How's everybody doing? My name is Mason and I'm currently holding May.
Hi everyone, my name is Todd and I need more large hoodies.
And this is What Are We Talking About? Because there's a lot we need to talk about. Today is a special edition. We like to talk about our shows that we like and what we watch. And today is going to be you. Because the season finale just happened and we have a lot to talk about it.
Yeah, it's the end of a great show, end of an era. There will be some hot takes, some controversial takes, some things that I will die on the hill for. This is a very passionate topic for us.
And as we said before, we're going to debate. But this is a safe environment to debate. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to attack anybody, you know? Everybody has different mindsets, and especially with this show, there's a lot of controversy with just the characters, the development, and just the whole story, honestly. So, if you're ready, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
And if you find any question very good or, meaningful to you, comment down in the section.
Oh, this is also your spoiler warning, because we will be speaking extensively along the entirety of the show, so whether you've watched all of it or haven't, don't care, whatever, we're just letting you know right now, this is spoiler alert for the rest of the episode, so either allow yourself to be spoiled or come back when you're done.
Spoiler warning. Hold on.
Ooh, bye, May.
Bye, May.
Our visitor's leaving the building.
All right, first question. Has your viewpoint of Joe changed over the series? If so, how?
I want you to answer this first.
All right. I got to do my Okay. So, mine definitely has. I think I got very frustrated with Joe, and I thought he was very selfish and kind of not a very valid thinker when it came to his point of view. I feel like for me that came to a halt when he was with Love. At a point I was fully on Love's side, but as this final season happened, you kind of figure out that his reasoning makes sense in his head, and I like how the production team and every director and everybody made us see it from his perspective and also had us see it from other people's perspective too. So I feel like from Joe's perspective, he very much reasoned and made us reason with him and justify some of his killings, So that's how my viewpoint has changed. I'm kind of on Joe's side most of the time, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, so I have always felt the same about Joe. So call me a criminal, I don't care, okay? I love Joe Goldberg, and not in the weird way that has taken over social media recently, just as a complexly developed good character. That's why I love Joe Goldberg. I feel like he forces your moral compass, he forces your boundary of thought when it comes to such a real topic, but it also allows you to play with it because Joe is also not a real person. And I think with a lot of social media commentary, people are a little take it just slightly. Okay, y'all are gonna hate me for this, but I feel like some people take it way too serious and are very much try to play moral advocate, because I'm not sitting here, insert notorious serial killer here is an amazing person and I feel for them. No. I am saying that I feel for a fictional character that is complex, and I feel like throughout television and through different forms of media, whether it be TV shows, movies, books, book girls, okay? Can't tell me you haven't fallen in love with the Joe type character before, okay? It's fine. I feel like that's what media is for. It allows you to grow a connection to a type of person or character you wouldn't normally in the real world for the right reasons, okay? And that's not me saying that what he did was correct. I'm definitely on the side of there really isn't ever a time
For sure.
to justify murder. There's just not. And as justified as it can be, depending on who you're speaking to, there are still consequences, however you want to play that in there. So, with those few quote-unquote disclaimers out of the way, yes, I have always loved Joe Goldberg. And continue to do so.
Good, valid points, though. Valid points, honestly. So, moving on to our next one, too. Which partner do you think was the best for Joe for the first one? And here's a list of partners.
Okay, which partner do I think was the best for
Yes, because Joe had... We'll do this while she's thinking about her answer. Joe had a lot of partners. And he was very much narcissistic in thinking that those women were placed solely for him, kind of thing. And so, I guess which one best handled that, or was the best for Joe in his mind, kind of thing, of how he pictured it and what the fans pictured it. Do 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 do.
I am going to argue a point that I don't think we saw.
Which is?
I don't think we saw a partner that was best for Joe, realistically. Like,
Yeah, not the best.
out of who we have in the running, I wouldn't pick any of them. But I guess if I had to, this list is a little flawed, Bug.
Really?
Yeah, this list is in fact a little flawed. But if I had to pick, I think I would go with. It's kind of a tough question, realistically. I think. I don't know.
You want me to go first?
Do you already know your answer?
Yeah, mine's Love.
Oh, okay.
The reason why I say Love is because he was very much searching for, I guess, somebody to fully accept him, and I feel like Love was the one person out of all of it, and I could be missing some, I'm not gonna lie, but to me, the one that really stood out was Love really understood the completeness of Joe and didn't persecute him for it. And that's why I say Love was the best in my eyes for him, even though Joe himself didn't see it that way. Because he always wants to be the savior. She showed her own strength, so he was kind of like turned off by that. But in actuality, in my eyes, I was like, bro, that was the perfect thing for you. So that's why I pick Love.
Yeah, I could see that. Because realistically, for all of the partners, something about the partner is going to have to change for them to actually be perfect for Joe. So I think I can agree with you. The Love is probably the best first candidate because, like you said, she was down to get in the she was down to get in the nitty gritty of things, and was okay with a mutually assured destruction as being their piece that held them together. So I think I can agree with that.
This is like a whole extended. They're ranking Candace. Candace? Oh, that's Candace. Sorry, I don't know the I. Candace Stone.
Was that the rank or was that just the order? Because she was first.
Oh, she was the first one?
Yeah, she's not like focused on in the first season, but she was the first girlfriend that Joe's mentioned having.
Well, they have Beck at 6, so.
Oh, okay, so it is a ranking. Got it.
But yeah, that's who I have as mine.
No, I think I agree with you. Yeah, I think out of the list, I think that makes the most sense.
Special appearance from June.
I don't know if they can see her down there.
All right, 3. Who was your least favorite character?
Oh, so it got topped out. I used to have my first least favorite up until the last season, and then I got a new least favorite. So Bronte is my least favorite character, and for all you people out there that just love her, I'm so sorry to say, you're welcome to love her. She is my most disliked character. she's just, I don't know if it's like the way she behaved really stressed me out. Okay, because she was like showing like this really confusing behavior of like, yeah, no, I don't want to have an affair, but like we should have an affair, but like I don't want to be that woman that has an affair. And like obviously you find out that it's the plot to try to kind of get him to fall in love with her or do whatever because they're trying to catch him up in Beck's murder. But I also feel like a little bit that is actually just kind of how she acts, because even after the fact of like the whole killing of Clay, was that his name?
Yes.
Killing of Clay and all that, and she was like, no, he was defending himself, which he was.
Like he was not in the wrong in that at all.
Which he was defending himself. Even then, she kind of just acts very like, yeah, I want this is fine, but in like an annoying degree.
Yeah.
So season 5, Bronte topped out Beck, who was my first hated character. She got on my nerves. She was just kind of annoying, and she just kind of did weird things. How do you live on the first floor of a brownstone in New York and don't have curtains as a woman? How do you do that?
Every time we looked at her through her window and stuff like that.
Like, Babes was in a towel in her living room with no curtains. Not even just Joe stalking her, just any Joe Schmo on the street.
Right.
She's looking at her in her towel.
Valid. Well, Beck is off the list.
I mean, she's number 2.
She's number 2.
Her and Bronte are very close.
Got you. So on mine, right now for sure is Reagan from season 5, the twin.
Oh, okay.
She's just a horrible human being, and I just picture myself actually encountering her in real life, and like that would probably be the worst person ever. Like,
yeah.
You gotta think from the beginning all the way until her optimal demise.
That she orchestrated herself, basically, because she was so evil.
Right. She was a dick to everybody. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Because whenever they were in spoilers, we already warned spoilers, but here's an extra spoiler. Whenever they were in the cage with her twin sister, and like I thought they were gonna work together, and then she basically just said, "I don't feel bad for you. Like you're a waste of like." Basically, she just downed her. So Reagan is top for me easily. She went outside, but. Who
was your top through all of the seasons before 5? Because I find it interesting that we both of our most hated characters got topped by season 5 character. So, once our second special guest of the day gets settled, if you would answer that for me, that'd be great. If she settles. Welcome, June, everybody.
Welcome, June.
Yep, so much nice things to say. Mm-hmm. Before Reagan, who was your most hated?
I think I can't remember her name, but she was in season 4.
Okay.
She was blonde, and she was sorry, I had a scratch. She was a blonde one in the 4th season. She was part of that rich squad.
Princess Phoebe.
Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hated her.
You hated Princess
I hated her, bro. Even though she would call Joe on his stuff, even though he deserved it, like, she was just all around annoying. Like, I think even more than, like you said, Beck and, like, everybody, like, for me. So, before, yes, her. But Reagan...
She topped out.
Because she's just a nasty, gnarly human being from the core.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right, moving on. Are you satisfied with the ending?
Absolutely not.
Why
is that? I have a bone to pick with the ending. And as I prefaced with my first answer of my first question, it has nothing to do with the fact that Joe ended up in jail.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad he ended up in jail. In reality, he should have ended up underneath the fucking jail. Oh, excuse me.
I think you should preface this because you do have a really good viewpoint when it comes to, like, the ending of how we're not arguing that it's not realistic. We're arguing that it's not a good ending.
Correct. So, okay, by my standard of what I'm saying as a good ending, okay, it was not done as theatrically, as media inclined, for lack of a better word. It just wasn't it just didn't seem like it was written well. It kind of comes out of the blue, where it's like, yes, the kind of obvious answer to end off a season finale of a show, an entire show, is for the big bad to be caught and put in jail. You know,
clear as day. Anybody could have guessed that.
With another topic of him actually being a serial killer, again, he does in fact deserve jail, if not worse. I'm not
for sure
knocking that,
because he murdered like 22 people.
He murdered 22 people. I believe that's his.
Yeah, I feel like that's it.
My qualms with the ending is that, like I said, I feel like it was slightly poorly written. I feel like it was rushed. And I don't like that Bronte narrated the end. She got narration time. I didn't like that. And I also didn't like that Kate was alive at the end. I feel like too many people in the season stayed alive.
Let's not forget, Bronte had sexual relations with her best friend's ex. She's not a golden saint up in here.
She's not. So I feel like in a weird way, it was almost like, yes, she took all the stupid parts that Joe wrote out of the book. Ooh. But in a weird way to me, I just feel like she also was kind of picking up Beck's voice almost, don't fight me, almost in the same way that Joe did. I understand that she's trying to undo the fact that he murdered her and wrote some things that weren't in her voice or whatever. But you could also argue that he kind of gave her wish in a weird, twisted way. She's always wanted to be a published author. I don't know. But secondly, on that, also, there are did we come up with 2 different routes?
Oh yeah, for sure.
For the ending, we came up with 2 different routes for the ending that we would have enjoyed more, that do in fact still end with Joe in jail. Do you want to go over one? Do you want to go over share before we get into that?
Sure, yeah. But just so I just want to say this quick little thing. We are not romanticizing serial killers. Mm-mm. We're not romanticizing writing them letters, and these aren't like anybody who's on our side on this argument isn't about to be writing like Ted Bundy or freaking Jeffrey Dahmer in what's it called, in jail or anything, or even I have yet to feel bad for any serial killer. But with this, it was so cinematic that we actually felt a warped but alright connection with Joe, to where we understood why he did stuff, and we wanted a more theatrical ending.
Yeah,
because it was so generic and we could guess it that I didn't like it. But,
and not only could we guess it, it was, like I said, it was rushed. And I think once you
Bronte went Super Saiyan at the end. Like, bro, she survived a gunshot.
You're telling me she got tackled by a grown ass man.
Prime Joe. This is prime.
Prime feral, nothing to lose Joe, might I add. Okay? His kid just called him a monster. He said, forget life right now.
Oh,
okay?
Censor it. My fault.
It's okay. So there's that. Okay? She got shot in the stomach.
People forget about that. She got shot.
She got shot in the stomach. She jumped out of a 2nd-story window. Okay? She got trucked a 2nd time. Okay? And got shoved in a freezing... Was it freezing cold? I might be being dramatic on that one.
It was middle of the night.
I might be being dramatic on that one, so we'll just go a pond. So
I'm counting it. Okay? I'm counting it. It's freezing. You're losing breath.
She got tackled into the pond and then strangled underwater to the point where Joe thought she was dead. And you're telling me homegirl got up out of the water?
Michael Myers style,
while staying underwater long enough for Joe to, again, think she was dead, and then to somehow find him in the middle of the woods with the gun again. Somehow, magically.
I call Cap.
I call Big Cap on that. And just to kind of reiterate what Mason said, I think that it takes a lot of empathy, understanding, and critical thinking, which I would like to think is what was a lot of to play and a lot of the purpose of the series of why Joe did what he did, not taking away the consequence that he needs. Okay? To understand, like, the mental health that he had, like, the state of mental health that he had, to genuinely think that he was helping and saving and doing the right thing by doing the terrible things that he was doing.
Which he did
do, and he did feel that way. So for Joe, everything he was doing was justified under the guise of he was protecting what he loved and what he cared about. Which you can argue we all do to a certain extent. Do we go to the extreme of just randomly murdering people? No. But I think that's something we can all relate to, regardless. Not saying that he shouldn't be in jail for murder.
Right.
Just saying, two things can be true at the same time. Multiple things can be true at the same time. A lot of things are true at the same time.
And I know this one comment is going to happen. He enjoyed the killing. Yes, he enjoyed killing people to protect the people that he most cares about. That's the full sentence. If that was the case, he wouldn't start killing random people.
And not to get too serious, but I'm sure there are a few dads, brother, uncles, cousins out there that would be super glad to do a few things to a few people. Gladly, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, what is one of our alternate endings that we would have loved?
So one of the endings is just like, who is the serial killer that we compared it to?
The Zodiac Killer.
The Zodiac Killer. I would have loved for Joe to, in the midst of it, as Joe has always done, get out of it. He has nothing to lose at this point, because remember, his son basically called him a monster. Like, his whole camp of friends is over. He has no wife, no kids. So I feel like he would have to go on the Zodiac route of, like, being that he's so skilled at this point, going on a little killing spree. And then finally at the end, when he's old, like, maybe his son finds him and kind of the police uses his son as a way to get in touch with him, because he's the only person that would likely Joe would even come into contact with at that time. So once, like, they have a conversation, like, did you really kill all these people, things like that, and are you really a monster? They have a heart-to-heart. Then the cops will show up, and then at that point, he's already old, so it's kind of alludes to the fact that Joe was always, there's no more running. Joe was always one step ahead, but that would be a final. Like, he has to come to terms with it, because he came to terms with his son and things like that as a grown person, and, like, I just feel like that would have been a good all-around thing.
Yeah, because I think it is also a realistic ending. No one's saying that Joe Goldberg deserves a happy ending, because from the moment that why can't I think of his name? Henry. From the moment that Henry calls him a monster, Joe's world is over. So he's not living happily ever. Like he's just not. And so I think, like a lot of the old school serial killers, just with the way technology was and whatever, now I know that Joe lives in the modern world, but I just feel like it kind of would have been a kind of serial killer homage trope of not catching them until later and then finally getting them, because there are so many cold cases that get brought back up, and they do find these old weirdos years and years later that finally admit to what it is that they did, and they still serve their time. Is it not as much time because they're old and whatever else? Yes, I understand that, and I know it's not the satisfactory ending of not only the show to most people, but even in real life, but I think it's a real life connection and relatable.
Right, and just one more before you say your thing. I feel like Henry didn't understand the full situation because of Kate. Kate very much skewed his mindset, and I feel like skewed is a bad term, but I feel like she basically pointed out all of Joe's flaws without a reasoning behind it. And I feel like if Henry was an adult, he can get that closure like that, because I feel bad for Henry, because all he really knows is dad is a monster, but he doesn't know, like, the full capacity of why the reasoning. So I would like to add that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think our second ending that I think would have done justice and been better is scrap not all of it. We needed some of it. Scrap most of the backstory of the friend group in Bronte. I personally don't think we needed all of that. I felt like it was a waste of 2.5 episodes to kind of get all of that. I feel like that could have been summed up a little bit quicker. Because I feel like they were trying to make us have a connection with Bronte, and there's are people that probably do, but for me, like, there was no amount of time that she would have been in the show that I would have had a connection with her, so wasting 2.5 episodes to me was just not worth it, to where we could have kind of fast-tracked everything that happened, scrunched it up a little bit, and still gotten to the point to where we can have Bronte have her superpowers and come back to life or whatever, and Joe gets arrested and goes to jail. But I feel like we needed, if that was going to be the simple ending of it all, we needed at least 2, if not 3, at least 2 trial episodes. Like, I would have loved to be able to sit there and watch Joe deteriorate more and more as he realizes that these people know exactly what he did to all of these people. Like, I would have loved to have someone come clock his tea and read him down for every single thing he did to every single person he did. I feel like that, even more than just him ending up in jail, would have been very satisfactory for a lot of the viewers, not even just, because we all know what he did. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we watched it all, and then obviously you can assume that everyone figures out what's been done, but it's also left up to interpretation that maybe he only gets caught for killing the politician, framing Homegirl and putting her in jail, trying to kill Bronte, and killing Beck. You could also assume that those are the only ones. And to me, that wouldn't be satisfactory. Like, laundry listed out. Every last one. So that would be my second preferred ending. I just feel like it could have been done just a little bit more theatrical, a little bit better. Definitely not changing the fact that he goes to jail or gets caught or doesn't have a happy ending. No one wants... I'm sure there are some people that probably do wish that there are some crazy people out there. I'm sure there are some that wish Joe got a happy ending. For sure. But we're not those. We want good television. We want good media. And I just feel like the end was just a little rushed, and that's why I didn't like it.
And let's end it with, we believe Joe should be at the bottom of the prison.
If not the ocean.
We just want a good ending. All right. That we were very passionate about that one. Very. All right. Who was the most valid in the final season? What I mean most valid is their point of view and how they handled it and their whole situation was valid. Like, the way they acted in the situation, the way they went about it, 100% you agree with, kind of thing. Oh, I fully believe we have the same answer. Okay, mine. Hold on, before I don't want to butcher it. Hold on, let me find his name. See, you already hinted that we have the same answer because we're thinking about this. We're here. We're here. We're connected. You feel me? Because Teddy was 100% the whole time, through Kate being a hypocrite, Joe being crazy, Maddie being... She has split personalities for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I feel bad for her. And minus Reagan just being a major bitch. Because she was 100%. Yes, Teddy was the only one to clock Kate's tea in a manner that made her reflect about herself for 0.5 seconds and then continue to do her own whatever. Exactly. But he clocked it and he was like, no. Right, and from his standpoint, he was 10 toes helping Henry. Like, he was there for them, but when it was getting unjustifiable, he was like, hey, what are we doing? Why aren't you just going straight to the cops? Why are we not just ending this? Why are you not going after Joe? You know what I'm saying? He was the one that was 100% in the right and the one that didn't contradict himself at all, because he was the same through and through. So that's why we both say Teddy being the most valid in the final season. Agreed. Awesome. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, visit our page and click that bell icon so that you're always notified when we post. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We done talking. We'll see you on the next video.